Hello and welcome back to NTM. So this is my final broadcast from my home office, and excuse the animation, but I thought I'd do it for a bit of fun. And actually, to be completely honest, it's because I have a hardcore hobo moving house stress beard, which is out of control. um, Anyway, so I may do a few other videos from my kind of stopgap home before coming to you live from the campaign trail. I'll be travelling with a camera guy, going to rallies, town halls, events, speaking to people, etc., as I've mentioned before, and more details will be to follow, which segues me nicely into the topic of today's video. I don't think the Bernie wave is stoppable, and so it's going to be fascinating seeing what happens. The establishment are hilariously not even trying a new tactic, they're just rolling out Russia, Russia, Russia on Bernie. It's hilarious. Which has led me to think, who actually watches and takes the opinions of the media, especially cable news, seriously anymore? I mean, seriously, it must just be like 500,000 old people and people uninterested in politics, just occasionally getting a soundbite of propaganda nonsense to catch up, as it were. On the left and right, alternative media just bags on the establishment. I thought it was more prominent on the right, but I see, having done a bit more research, that the left alternative media commentators are doing exactly the same. There are a few exceptions, such as the Young Turks, and I can't quite work out their agenda, but I will. Anyway, the clued up lefty commentators, as I was saying, I've even noticed that they've toned down the rhetoric on Trump. I mean, there is still a visceral hatred for the man, but for the most part, the far left Bernie supporting crew are so over and see through things like impeachment and all the other cheap political point scoring and useless narratives that the mainstream media, establishment media use, that they recognise rolls straight off the man's duck-like back. Contrary to the to the ones I just mentioned, and TYT, which again is weird. Both sides, therefore, are in firm agreement that the mainstream media establishment are lying crooks with an agenda that is not for the people. However, they are still looking at the same situation and coming back with two very different synopses. Admittedly, it's not like switching between CNN and Fox News, but nonetheless, it's still same movie, two very very different critics. Or any other analogy you'd like to insert. So if Bernie doesn't get swindled by the DNC and we end up with a moderate Democrat running, Trump wins. If Bernie gets the nomination, which is looking more and more likely due to his genuine movement and control of the base, and the fact that without looking like absolute, I mean, they're already seen as crooks by their own supporters, I don't know how they're going to pull off doing that. So it looks like he's going to get it. Unfortunately, Trump wins. We know why he wins in the first scenario. I think you do anyway. And well, taking aside all the points about Bernie's message, despite being popular and very much the root and base of the activist voting non-utterly off-put Democrat base, is too fringe for a general election. It always will be. Take Florida, a close swing state. With Bernie, Trump steals it. The average age of the voter, combined with a heavy, let's say, anti-Castro Cuban vote, which we know carries and has carried for generations. So Florida with Bernie, in my opinion, is no longer a swing state. If the Rust Belt states that were admittedly a narrow win for Trump in 2016 are feeling the benefits of this economy and are seeing improvements overall, try convincing enough of them to radically change course. I can't see it happening. The only interesting one, frankly, to me, is Texas. I'm fascinated by this and will be studying more, as I said, and be doing loads of stuff on the ground. But that is a question mark, because admittedly, if Texas went blue, it could make things very interesting. But I think on this occasion, with this candidate, and given these final factors that make me think there is an over 80% chance of a Trump second term, and they are: how many times in American presidential politics history has an incumbent who fought re-election lost? How many times has an incumbent with a strong economy and promises delivered, despite what the opposition may think or say, lost? What did impeachment do for Bill Clinton? Yeah, well done, Democrats. And how many times has an incumbent lost? And then also bear in mind his approval rating is the same, and actually has been higher than Obama's was in 2012 at the same stage. So no, unless something radical happens, and it would need to be basically a cheat with the voting machines or an unprecedented increase in new voters, Bernie's fringe plunge into the unknown, as it is for so many independents and swing voters alike, despite, as I said, the undeniable energy and base, plus Bernie is the only candidate that, in fairness, can actually pull a crowd. They aren't Trump size, and the Democrats are disenfranchised generally, and it's only the energized young Bernie bros that are going to vote, and unfortunately they are no match for the Trumpers in numbers. Ignore all the polls too, they are nonsense. Fact: there are secret Trump voters, and the writing has been on the wall for a while, hence the craziness from the Dems. Also, there will be an increase in the black vote for Trump. I don't think it'll be anywhere near as high as some optimistic people on the right have been guessing or predicting. But even a couple of percentage points, even 1 percentage point, but even a couple of percentage points would make a huge, significant difference. So some I know have been predicting like 30% of the black vote. I know that's highly unlikely, but even if you could get to sort of say 6-7%, or imagine pulling off 10%. I mean, that would be a game changer that I think a lot of Democrats and lefties are too blind to see that there's a possibility, and there definitely will be an increase. It just I think it'll be in the very low percentage points, and probably not as high as 10% as I suggested. Anyway, even by some miracle, if Bernie was to get elected, look at what the establishment or deep state are already doing. Do you really think he'd be able to enact any of those policies at all? He would be paralysed with the power only of executive orders, which, if he tried to do Medicare for all on an executive order, for example, which I don't think he even should do, it may, just like every other executive order, just end up heading towards the now heavily Republican stacked courts. Americans need to remind themselves just how insignificant and actually how little a president can actually do. In the UK, we know that whoever is elected, it's basically business as usual, because the civil service and people behind the scenes actually run the show, and it doesn't really matter who's in office. And as a result, we've essentially stopped caring, or at least getting too worked up about it as a result. Brexit got us all excited for a time, and then the politicians reminded us just how useless they are, and that the establishment always gets what it wants, and it didn't want Brexit, so we won't get it basically. But that's another story. Cannot wait to get to the States and start putting out quality, interesting content, even if it's just for me to watch back over as the ultimate vacation diary. However, I hope more people join me for the ride and help me raise some money along the way and awareness for mental health and future planning. And there'll be more information on that to come too, but please do visit and join the website while it's still free to join, www.mindtruthfuture.com. I'll leave that in the comments description box. Thanks for watching. Please thumbs up or down and comment as well as subscribe, and see you in the next one, which will be more info on the exact USA timetable and the start of some vlog stuff maybe, and who knows what else. Peace out.